All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of Coffee is for Closers. As you're aware, Matt's away on holiday right now. I just got back from mine, so now it's Matt's turn. We take it in turns. Can't have the president and the vice president away at the same time. And Marco can never be away. He's locked into the office at all times. But we wanted to bring Marco in today as one of the topics that I wanted to cover, which we've never really spoken about on the channel, is how Marco came into the picture, into Sales Sniper. And one of the coolest topics that I found is, the way I give you the most respect is like your ability to kill it in sales and be so successful in this field with English as a second language. So I wanted to explore a bit of that today and really go down that path. So with that being said, guys, cue the intro. Let's go.
If you listen to this podcast, you will make your first million within 3 years. I'm going to repeat that. You will make $1 million within 3 years of the first episode you listen to. We don't want pikers. We're not here to save the manatees. We're here to make podcasts. You really want this. You listen and review.
Put that coffee down.
All right, Marco. Well, maybe you'd like to give a little bit of an introduction for the guys that are living under a rock and, they don't know who you are, who we call Mr. Fashion here. We do the sales. He does the fashion. He keeps us looking good.
Spend the money.
Clearly not for me. It doesn't work, but whatever.
I made $100K in commission. I spend the money for it. I think if you watch a previous podcast, you've seen the evolution into this. Now I'm the chief revenue officer of both companies, Hemisphere and Sales now, right?
And a few others.
And so I do more like the B2B sales or done for you sales of clients, which is actually something that I really like. Didn't like it on the start, to be honest.
What's that?
Well, sometimes you're scared of things that you don't know. And that's a big one. And I don't know the complexity, especially the last deal that I closed, which I closed today. The complexity of that deal, it requires learning to a company. And like when you sell B2C, is a consumer, right? So it's a normal person trying to ask for a service. Those, they are like different company. When you talk about sales, for example, with them is like how many type of sales a company does. God knows, right? Especially a distribution, right?
Yeah.
They might buy something, they might sell something, or even when they buy, they want to buy less. So there is a salesperson into this. So it's complicated. But coming back where we originally asked is like what I do now. I'm at my peak. I feel like I'm at my peak. I've grown a lot with the help of you and Matt. So I'm in a really, really good space. I'm learning a lot from Jeremy as well. So
yeah, it's funny moving into that world because you're naturally super resistant to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super loyal guy, don't like to change things, which it brings up like the kind of story of how we first got you over to Sniper in the first place. And you were so reluctant to come and reluctant to stay when we first come on board. But for those that don't know, me and Marco, we did a lot of sales together in the past in previous companies for gyms. And I never got paid commission. I was a manager. Marco was a sales guy.
Mm-hmm.
We never actually met in person until, like 6-7 months ago, right?
Yeah. We never met in person so long, yeah.
And, Marco was getting comms. So what I would do is every time I made a sale, I would write it under that he made the sale, so he'd get the comms for it. Just because someone might as well get paid commission if it wasn't me. Yeah. So I thought, why not, right? And because of that, I think because I was just like some random dude to come on board. I think the first session we ever spoke to each other, I was like, hey, you want me to put all these sales down as you? And we built a really good relationship on that. But anyway, back then, still to this day from the first conversation, your English has developed incredibly over the last couple of years. And I remember the first call I had with you, I was just like, what the f*** are you saying? Like I couldn't make out, I couldn't understand, but I'm also really bad at understanding accents. Like I'm terrible at it. I grew up in a Bogan neighborhood. All I know is Bogans around me. I speak fluent Australian. That's it, right? I can't tell the difference between Aussie and English. It's very foreign to me. And I remember getting on that phone call and I heard a few things because you did some sales for the other gyms that, Marco's killer. He'll crush sales for you guys. And I was just like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I can't understand a word this guy's saying. How is he, who I can't even understand him, going to sell all these people? And the first week, you probably broke records and the most sales into that gym of any week. And I was like, bewildered. I'm like, how? How is this possible? And you have a way that is so individual to you, and you somehow use that accent to your advantage. And I'd love you to tell me a little bit more about that.
I gotta be honest with you, and I'm gonna be completely clear. Is like, is an advantage at its finest, because people, when you have like, there you go, a job interview, or when you start with someone, they really don't have high expectation, man. It's like, this guy's gonna fail. He can't speak, he can't do anything. Out the door is like, okay, let me get up, because like I know what I'm doing, and that like probably I wasn't expressing myself that great, but enough to overcome rejection. So that's a big one. Is that that's why now hopefully I'm decent to overcoming rejection, is because I couldn't ask questions, but just because I couldn't, because people wouldn't understand. So I was rather better saying statements and kind of move people along the pipeline rather than ask a question, because they wouldn't get it. Yeah. So I took it as an advantage all the time. But also, I never believed into it. Like, I never thought that there was that things until actually one of the guys in the team, Talis, he told me like, hey man, like, you know, you're a good things because you make people have a second English as a second language, like hope that you can get 200K a month. And I was like, oh, man. And now he's killing it. He's doing actually way better. Way better than
$32,000 commission day yesterday. So
yeah, exactly right. So it's just the way, the limitation that you give to yourself. I'm a big believer into that. And my personal story overall in life is this: the biggest limitation that you give yourself is what you believe on. I never believed into it, right? But I gotta be honest, the transition from that gym to sales now, the biggest limitation that I had, and now I got better through the coaching with Matt and you and David. Shout out to David. My English is improved with him. Is with money, right? I'm European, so I'm tight. So when you that was the big, I was tight.
Never seen anyone spend more money. I don't know what you mean by tight.
I ain't got too much with Matt, so that's the problem.
You're rubbing off on me a little bit too.
Yeah,
it's funny, right? Because you came and you crushed it with those sales, and I was still like perplexed. I'm like, do these people just buy out of confusion? Like, what is it? But it wasn't. It was more than that, because, like you said, like, you don't notice that because you understand yourself, you know. And it wasn't until like studying NEPQ, right? I started to get it, right? I'm like, I see what he's doing, and I see it's because, well, my theory anyway is you take away a lot of the resistance, right? But my personal thoughts is, because an accent, you know, particularly if you're someone like me who's not good with them anyway, right? I have to listen hard, and I have to interpret what you're saying to make it make sense in my head. And I think that it comes across really strong as a tactic, almost like your strategic pausing and using tonality, because like when you can't fully 100% understand someone, you're forced to fill in the blanks. Right. And because of that, you think about what they're saying, and let's say if you're asking a situation question, like I'm actively thinking about what you're saying, I'm thinking about, okay, how is this affecting me? What impact is this having? And therefore, I'm going to give you better answers. I'm more emotional about it. I'm more ingrained in the conversation because I've had the space to be in my thoughts, which has taken away all resistance. It's got me out of my shell. And now I can have there's a real problem for you to solve, right? So that's my thought. I don't know. Does that kind of feel like it makes sense to you?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I think the biggest one that I got is this one. It's like, and I really sent back to my old calls just because I want to feel the pain, is people don't see it coming. Like, they don't see it coming at all, because like, there's like, this guy, I don't understand him. He's fine. I'm just going to hang up on the minutes. I'm going to stay here in 10 minutes. They don't understand that I know where I'm going. Same thing is what I do now, right? So I use it as a thing. That's why I'm not a big believer completely on sales call, on dressing like tie and shirt, because like when I jump on a call, either in a big company, they don't see it coming. It's like, oh, this guy has an accent, he's tattoos. But after I ask questions, they come along until we get to the point. It's like, okay, now we kind of things, right? So that's always been my point. Like, that's why people say, oh man, you gotta dress nice. I was like, not really. That's not
what we do, right?
Yeah, that's not who I am. But second is, that's my weapon, and you can't take the weapon away from me, because he's the underdog, right? I think that's how they call it. Is the underdog, and I've been the underdog in everything that I did, and I thrive into the situation. I actually don't like situation where I'm like, hey man, this guy is like closes 90%, he makes 100K on commissions. Like, oh, chill it.
Yeah, good. Noted.
Don't worry about that. Like, so I hate those kind of situations when someone introduces you like that. I'm more like the calm guy, come in, I do my job, I show you that I do my job, and I get out of that.
What don't you like about that?
Well, it's like, it's difficult to explain. Actually, a really good question. What I don't like about that, well, is when someone comes in and you are on the hype, you can just go down, right? You can just go down. But if someone is like, hey man, I know this guy is good at sales, then you're in the middle, which is like you either can go up or down. But if someone goes like, that was the best sales trainer, the best sales guy on the planet, you're starting really up top, which is, especially when you start an offer, if you're watching this, you're starting a brand new offer. I do have still 4 weeks of like, hey, what am I selling? What these people sounds like? What direction I gotta take? It doesn't help you because all of a sudden you have the pressure, right?
And I think there's a lot of perception management there, right? Because as soon as you're put up on this pedestal, and can't you see that with the camera? Put up on this pedestal, that becomes the minimum requirement. Right. And I feel like, particularly in sales, when a lot of the time you were selling to salespeople, it's like, oh, okay, this guy's really good. Well, challenge accepted. Let's make it hard. Let's actively, or even if it's unconsciously, let's give him a bit of a challenge. I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at him. And because I have that thought process in my head, I'm now not engaging in the conversation because I know he's going to sell me. I don't want to be sold. I want to make it hard, right?
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of resistance that brings up that, along with the perception management, right? It's the same as like when we speak to a client. If they come in and be like, oh, I heard you guys are the best sales team ever, right? You guys are close at 90%. If we're like, yeah, of course, we'll crush this. The second we close at 80%, like we're stuck, and 80%, amazing. 60%, 50% amazing, 30% in industries is amazing. But because of that, the expectation has been set. And the second that you don't meet that expectation, you could be crushing it. You could have tripled that business. Yeah. But, it's the perception that counts.
I've seen, and this is a good quote I've come up with. I've seen most superstars up the normal people succeed. Right.
Yeah, it's like a child actor, right?
Yeah, like when there is that's why when people was like, oh man, you guys are the best coaching. Well, we're not that cool. I mean, that depends. We can help some people. If you show up to the coaching session, we can help you out. There's always that element of like, oh bro, let's bring it down. It was like, that depends on you, doesn't depend on me.
Yeah, because you can explain better than I why we bring ourselves down. Oh, I'm the boring guy.
Yeah.
Like, how do you take a lot of those sales concepts that you've learned now and apply them to real life, like with and negotiating with someone at the airport, right? Having conversations with people on the street. Like, do you feel now, because you communicate, you didn't like to speak to people in the past?
No. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah. How do you feel like your general communication with just random people is now, like after learning these skills?
Man, that's such a good question. I became an EPQ. Like that's crazy because like either in real life, if you see me, I always go like, I can possibly do that. I cannot possibly do that. So I'm always neutral. And that changed a lot because first thing, people understand you better. Second thing is like you have a structure on everything that you do. And I love structures. I'm a structure-driven person. But NPQ became part of me. That's how I mastered into a sales call because I can sell. You know that I can sell people in the street, man. Like I can go into. Is that
a content idea?
Yeah,
we're gonna get that on the weekend.
Yeah, actually gonna do it. It's just so much imprinted in me that I understand where people are in terms of thought process. Right? You speak with someone. I spoke with someone at the gym and I sold it into the.
Yeah, you got us the lead.
Yeah, for you. That's just an NPQ process, but because it's in me. Like that's the way how it is.
Yeah, I think the more confident you get with communication skills, the better you are at networking.
Yeah.
Always like, oh, there's no leads. I went over to the States. How many calls did I get us with people that I had no idea existed? Just having conversations, and here's an opportunity. And the better you get at that, the more opportunities that come, because you start to be able to see, oh, what can this person offer me? Or what can I offer this person? How can I develop this relationship? How can I start this relationship? And I think that all comes down to for you, what's been clear to me is seeing your confidence just in day-to-day interactions with people go through the roof, right? One of the points you mentioned a second ago, and I hate to rewind, but go back there. You said it's clear we don't dress overly professional, but that slightly changes in that super heavy B2B, because I've seen you put nice shirts on, dress yourself, never a tie, but that standard, what do they call it? The New York suit, right?
Yeah, but
white shirt, slack pants, dress shoes. You're kind of against that, but I've seen you do it in certain situations. What's the rationale there as to when you pick and choose to adjust your perception to a specific client? How do you make those decisions?
That's another good question, because I got to think of it. I do it for myself.
Confidence?
I do it for myself because it's, for me, if you know me, if you don't know me, besides sales, I like to go to the gym and buy clothing. That's where I'm at, right? So, for example, someone like Ryan Serhnant, total respect, is a killer in what he does. He dresses for his clients. I can't do that. I dress for me. I dress because I like to express what I like to express. So one day I might feel to wear a Tom Ford shirt, and I put a Tom Ford shirt. That doesn't change the element of sales, because the element of sales is me. I'm still going to be the guy jumping on a sales call. Yeah,
because anyway, I found it contradictory, or that's probably a poor choice of words, slightly contradictory, because I have seen you do that before.
But
that was probably you just testing the water. You didn't like it, stopped, because I've not seen you do it since.
No, I actually do it for myself, because I feel like the best way to make more sales is you gotta be happy with what you are. And I'm super happy when I dress the way how I like, and I'm confident the way I'm. You talk about confidence before. I think that you nailed it there. It's confidence, but I won't do it for another meeting. I won't do it for someone else. I was like, hey man, I bought a Dior shirt that I really want to wear it, and I wear it. That's all.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not as much into it as you, but when we do go over, I think I'm not sure if we're going to go at the start when we arrive back in the States, but we'll be going to New York and having dinner with Ryan. I'm absolutely going to be wearing Louboutin shoes, because he wears them all the time, and I like them. I think they look nice. My idea of style is clearly different. Here I am, just like a golfer, but I like to dress nice on occasion, purely because of that confidence and the conviction and what you're doing that comes with it. So I totally get it.
One thing I never said on any podcast is the hat. So I got this hat and another hat, which is a brown hat. Especially the brown hat, that's just a sell things. I got charms. I gotta keep them on. I got this in an elastic that I always wear. That I don't have it here because when I don't sell, I don't use it. But that gets me in the mode as well.
Tell me, sorry, I think I missed. What do you mean by charms?
I just keep them for make me. It's just easy. Have you ever watched the movie Inception? That's
Oh, you mean you use the hat as the window? Yeah, okay, got you.
Exactly right. So it's something that
it's like an anchor.
It always worked really well. Always worked really well.
Gotcha. Okay. So, one of the questions I was planning on asking you 5 minutes before we started, and I decided the topic was for a lot of the guys that come in that English is a second language, they don't have strong English. To get to the first step of breaking into the industry, what advice would you give them? But then I'll ask you the same question once we're done, is to what about when they're already in the industry and want to take it to the next level? So new guys getting into the industry, not super confident with their ability to speak English, particularly when they're taking calls with English-based clients. What advice can you give those guys?
If you start caring about it too much, you need to care about it because you need to improve, right? I've done reading for me made a ton of improvement. You need to care about it, but if you start caring about too much, then you're always in your head. It's like the way how I can relate to people, the English speakers here, they don't understand me. Is like, think about when Jeremy or someone else or Matt gives you a script and you don't want to ask the consequence question because you don't feel comfortable. That's the same thing as we feel when we jump on a course. Like, oh, they're gonna understand me or not. I just don't care, right? But in the meantime, is like that doesn't mean that I don't have to improve. And that comes to the second point, which is like how you get to the next level. It's like, well, there you need to formulate details, which is a big. That's what I have to do. That's what I'm doing now with David, which is like sometimes when you start getting too confident because you're good, you create your own words, right? I got one which is jumping up. I meant to say your line is jumping up. It doesn't exist. I just You just come up with words, right?
It's funny, right? Like I've never heard that word, but I can interpret what that means.
Yeah.
And there's also a secret weapon that you get to diffuse, right? And the cool thing is that any time that you fuck up and you say the wrong thing, you have that perfect immediate diffusal. Like if you say something stupid that doesn't make sense, you can just say, sorry, that's an Italian thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me say that in a way that makes sense for English. Yeah. And you can't question it because you don't know the culture.
What I would say is like how also as well, like, okay, how would you say that in English? And they tell me how.
Yes.
Right. So it's like sometimes lately the consequence question, which is the possible ramification question, I use like, what are the possible ramifications if you don't change? And people want to understand that, right? Because maybe I go too fast. I was like, well, what if you don't change? And how would you ask that? If they're salespeople, like, I will ask like, what if you don't change? So what if you don't change? So it's like,
congratulations.
Yeah. But it makes them think a lot. Even they have to lean forward and it's like, what the hell is this trying to say?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they repeat the question into their head. As I've seen it done, especially when I used to sell fitness, right? My first ticket was fitness. Funny enough, we had the same guy, they chatted the same guy. It's fine. Cut this. All right. So yeah, what I was saying is this one is like, I used to sell a fitness software and man, those guys, they weren't qualified at all. Right. But when I used to speak with them, they were like kind of coming up forward. And I was like, okay, that's working. So it's like
listening.
More thinking you are, more you're coming forward. And I was like, come here. Come here. So yeah, I put you in the cage. So that's how I was like, oh, maybe sometimes I can be faster. Sometimes I will be faster on purpose. Especially when they give me rapid, yeah, we're looking for this. I will like, like, sorry, what do you mean? Yeah, it's like what I mean is like explaining your salesperson. They will talk because they'll start leaning forward to me. I will do that all the time.
How much, like particularly when you're sort of newer at sales, and there was some of those like English limitations. How heavy did you lean on body language to emphasize points and create understanding?
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, especially if I'm Italian, I live under body language rules.
Yeah,
exactly right. So like the other one that Jeremy has is this and this one. I used to use this, which is one I do all the times. Like you want to get here, you are here, you want to get here. What's in the middle, right? That was a big one that I used to. Yeah, but yeah, body language used to help me a lot, especially like when you future pace people. And I used to do this, and they say, okay, I understand what you're trying to say.
And then one of the last ones that I wanted to touch on was you've obviously, as we said, the improvement in your English is tenfold increase, right?
Oh, thanks.
Outside of like just trial by fire and pure volume of conversations, I know you've been you've got a coach that's Matt's dad actually, who's been working on some very specific ways to help you understand and how to understand English better. Like just as an example to like some of the guys that, something that they could implement straight away that would help them get better at English, particularly for sales. What's some of the like strategies you use to get better at that could be retained?
In normal conversation, you got to slow down a little bit. I know that I just said the contrary 3 minutes ago on a sales call, but that's a technique, right? Yeah. I'm talking about talking with your mates, talking with your girlfriend and talking to other people. You got to chill a second because The way how you think you saying things is not the way how other people understand things. So I will picture in my head the question. It doesn't sound the way how I think it is, right? So, but when you slow down, you break it down into boxes. Like, do you like bump? So you understand the tonality, the cadence. The cadence is a big one. So work on cadence.
Cool. I don't think that I have any more questions that I can think off the top of my head. Maybe there's something that you want to ask or something that value that you want to add to the guys listening before we finish up.
Well, the big one that I want to ask you is like, if you're really starting, right? Let's say, or if you are in sales and you feel like, hey man, I cannot do it. You can't think that way. Like, yeah, I cannot do it because like, I don't know how to speak. Is that particular part of what we do is what we sell. You're selling people that cannot do stuff all the time. 90% of the time, they cannot have the money. They cannot find them. They don't have the time. They don't see the value in anything that you do. So overcoming that yourself first, which is like, well, it's not true that I cannot do it. I can try, right? And I can fail. And as I can fail, I can get better at it. That is a huge thing, because all of a sudden it's like, you got people in front of you saying, hey man, I don't have money. Say, hey bro, I don't even know how to speak, but I find a way to make money. So which one is worst? Right? You can go and ask for a loan at a bank. I cannot even do that. So you see the difference in that is like, when someone overcomes a objection, always think about, especially when we do the training in the inner circle, is like, is what Michael would say, what Matt would say, what Jeremy says, let me read them down. Doesn't work in that way. You have to have a schematic way, of course, but the frames himself and the loops comes from your personal experience.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I've always been super clear every time, particularly when I was doing a lot of sales coaching for, guys on our team, but guys on other teams. I focus on the non-technical side of sales, right? It's getting everything else right and leave this technical to you because you're better at it, all right? And the one thing is that I found people were always trying to emulate Jeremy, emulate Matt, emulate you, but had no idea how to add in that specific personality into the sales call, and have no way to put that personality into the script so that it comes across as them. And one of the biggest resistance factors that, at least that I feel, is when, like that feeling is like you're just reading from a script. But when you're trying to be someone else, it comes across the same way. Like one of the guys has it was a super goofy guy, and he was trying to be too Jeremy. It's like, This doesn't suit your personality. It comes across as fake. Everyone's just screaming bullshit scam because the way you come across. But if you start putting in like those little jokes, having that laugh, it comes across genuine, it humanizes it. Then all of a sudden you have rapport without needing to build rapport because you're believable. And I think like that's one of the biggest skill sets that I've seen is like stop trying to copy and start taking the points that work and make them your own, right?
Exactly right.
And that's what you've done with like your accent, your style. Like you're better at objection handling than anyone I know. So you lean into that, right? Like
that's a really great point. The first bit, the second B2B call that I had, or the third one, I was all in my head of, and I've done this call with Matt, which is a great give me a feedback. Completely botched the call, like was completely went. Sometimes it can happen to me as well, right? Guy didn't open up, didn't like it. We didn't move forward with them. I closed 6 out of 8, and he's one of the 2 that I didn't close. But anyway, so Matt told me on that call, say, hey man, the reason why you're f***ing up because you're trying too hard, right? And you can sing from the other side. It's like you're trying to be Jeremy because you're not
making bad vibes.
Man, and he was like, man, it's true, because like I never used to sell that way. Like, I cannot be Jeremy. I'm not from Arkansas, right? I'm just doesn't work in the same way. So just don't do that. Just put it in the wardrobe. Like, but understand the structure of where you bring people and why you do and why you ask what you ask. You're never gonna have a problem.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think we can finish up there. So, ciao, and thanks, Marco. Like the bullet of sales sniper, the single most hardest working individual that I've ever met in my life.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So just want to say thanks for coming on board. It helps me out because I don't think I could sit here and talk half an hour straight at a camera without being boring for the guys. So to the viewers, like, you're welcome. You don't have to listen to me. But yeah, I think, hey guys, if you want to check out our stuff, all the links will be in the description. We got this here, this here, this here. You can join the group here, wherever, right? All that good stuff. It'll be in our outro video because I've probably butchered that. But thanks, guys. And no doubt we'll be changing the name of our Coffee is for Closers to Pizza and Pasta is for Closers, because that's clearly what fuels this guy, and that's what fuels the sales. So thanks for coming. See you guys. We shall.
To me now.
Sorry.
Can we
edit that into bloopers?
Val, if you're watching this or whatever as well, can we do the bloopers on this?
Yeah. And it's just because Marco's so boring,
Yeah, I'm the boring guy. I'm the boring guy. So I got this hat and another hat, which is a brown hat.
It's because you're balding though, right?
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
Awesome.
That was fun.
Oh, it's really good, man. You ask really good question.